There is a stretch of Havasu Creek, about a mile below the campground, where the canyon narrows to less than 20 feet wide on either side, and there is a reason experienced guides call that stretch the funnel. This is the story of the couple who filmed themselves standing in it anyway, and what 15 minutes of rain did to that decision. Blake Sorensen and Mia Calloway had built a travel channel with 340,000 followers on the promise that they did things other creators wouldn't. Blake had started the channel 5 years earlier as a side project, filming cliff jumps and cave crossings on a second-hand camera, and somewhere along the way, the algorithm had rewarded exactly the instinct that should have worried him most. The closer he got to a real hazard on screen, the faster the channel grew. He'd stopped thinking of it as risk-taking a long time ago. He thought of it as his particular talent, the thing he was simply better at reading than other people. They'd swum with the current at Havasu once before, 2 years earlier, on a clear October afternoon that ended in a perfect video and 40,000 new subscribers. In their minds, that was proof of concept. It was August 22nd, and they were back, and this time they had a permit, a drone, and a plan to film in the Narrows during what the weather app called a passing shower. At the ranger checkpoint in Supai village, a young tribal ranger named Talia Whitehorse pulled them aside. She'd grown up watching this canyon flood, and she knew what the sky looked like an hour before it did something the tourists never expected. She told them flatly that the National Weather Service had a flash flood watch posted for the entire plateau above the canyon, that storms up there could dump 3 inches of rain in under an hour, and that the water didn't need to be raining on you to kill you, it just needed to be raining somewhere upstream. Blake filmed the conversation for content, thanked her sincerely, and told her they'd stay well clear of the creek if it started coming down. Mia nodded along, the way she'd learned to nod along with most of Blake's decisions since he'd built the channel around his instincts and her editing. They did not stay clear of the creek. By 11 a.m., the sky over the canyon rim was a flat, innocent blue, and Blake had already picked his spot. The Narrows, waist-deep turquoise water moving fast enough to look cinematic, but slow enough, he judged, to stand in safely. Mia set up the second camera on a rock ledge 6 feet above the water. It felt, for the first 20 minutes, exactly like it had 2 years earlier. Blake talked to the lens about the mineral content that gave the water its color. Mia laughed at his jokes from the ledge. Neither of them was looking at the canyon rim, 1,000 feet above them, where a monsoon cell they couldn't see had just stalled directly over the drainage that fed this exact creek. For those 20 minutes, everything about the canyon conspired to make the wait feel safe. The sun stayed out. Other hikers passed along the trail above and waved down at them, some stopping to film the filming, charmed by the novelty of watching someone famous do something ordinary in an extraordinary place. Blake ran through 3 separate takes of the same monologue, unbothered, occasionally glancing at his phone for a signal that never came. The one indicator that might have told him a storm was already doing something serious a few miles upstream. Mia checked her own footage on the camera's small screen, satisfied with the shot, already mentally editing the sequence together in her head, the way she always did before a scene was even finished. The first sign was sound, not sight, a low-frequency hum that Mia felt through the rock before she consciously heard it. The kind of noise you register in your chest before your ears catch up. Blake, still narrating to camera, asked her what that noise was. She didn't answer right away because she was already looking upstream, and the water there had changed color, from turquoise to a churning, opaque brown, arriving faster than a person could run. Talia had told them exactly this would happen and exactly what it would look like, and in the 15 seconds Blake had to process it, none of her warning reached the part of his brain that was still mid-sentence for the camera. He turned to wade toward the bank. The water was already at his chest. Mia screamed his name from the ledge and reached down with one arm, close enough that for one terrible second their fingers actually touched. Close enough that she would spend the rest of her life certain she should have been able to hold on. She could not. The surge that hit the Narrows a moment later carried the accumulated force of a storm that had been building on the plateau for 40 minutes, funneled through a channel less than 20 feet wide, and it took Blake off his feet the way a rock slide takes a fence post. Without effort, without hesitation, and without giving him a single additional second to grab for anything at all. Mia held onto the ledge as the water rose past where Blake had been standing, past her own ankles, past her knees, the rock beneath her, the only thing separating her from the same current. She screamed until other hikers, hearing her from the trail above, scrambled down and pulled her further up the canyon wall, out of reach of water that kept rising for another 20 minutes before it finally began to recede. Search teams working with the tribe began looking within the hour, but Havasu Creek does not hold on to what it takes. It moves it fast and far, through drops and narrows no rescue team can safely follow in real time. Blake's body was recovered 2 days later, 11 miles downstream, near where the creek empties into the Colorado River. The tribe closed the canyon to visitors for the remainder of the season, the same way it had closed after the last flood, and the one before that, each time promising a system that could warn people faster, and each time running into the same unsolved problem. There is no cell signal in the Narrows, and the storm that kills you is very often a storm you never see fall. Mia deleted the channel's most recent uploads within a week, but she couldn't delete what dozens of other creators had already re-uploaded. The last video Blake ever posted, 40 seconds long, ending mid-sentence, with her own voice audible in the background, still laughing, not yet knowing that the sound underneath the laugh was the only warning either of them was ever going to get.